11 characters who should return to the Fast and Furious films. It's a very big year for the Fast and the Furious series, which is simultaneously celebrating the 20th anniversary of the release of the first film, the 15th anniversary of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, the 10th anniversary of Fast 5, and the debut of a brand new 9th film, F9. The Fast series has taken an unusual path through the years compared to many other franchises, both in how it became a much larger global box office sensation several films in, and how it took quite a while for it to be clear just how surprisingly complex and intertwined its mythology would become, and how much it would lean on characters from the past, albeit with a few retcons along the way. At this point, it feels like any and everyone who's ever been in these films could come back, even if they previously appeared to die. Indeed, F9 features several prominent returns. First and foremost, Han Sung Kang, who was seemingly killed off in Tokyo Drift. Han's not the only Tokyo Drift character in the film either, which also features Sean Boswell, Lucas Black, who previously briefly returned in Furious 7, Twinkie, Shad Bow Wow Moss, and Earl Hugh, Jason Tobin, the latter two having not been seen in the franchise for 15 years. So who else could and should come back? We look at some potential characters, along with the thoughts and the top poll results from the fandom's The Fast and Furious wiki community on who they'd like to see again. Couple of notes. We decided to mostly leave out characters who at the moment are listed as dead, but again, Letty Ortiz and Han tell us never say never, or anyone who's been seen in the last couple of films, and instead focus on more folks who've been gone for quite a while. But Hector, it was great to see you at the Race Wars in Furious 7. Leon. When it comes to Dominic Toretto's original crew in the first Fast movie, we know exactly where everyone ended up with one glaring exception. While we still followed Dom and Letty's adventures, and we've witnessed the deaths of both Jesse in the first film and Vince in Fast 5, the whatever happened to Leon questions continue to linger. The stoic Leon, Johnny Strong, was last seen helping Letty after she crashed at the end of the first film and then escapes the authorities. Where did he go? Where's he been the last 20 years? And why have he and Dom seemingly never teamed up again? Many would love to see Leon return, as at the time we published this video, he was tied for first in the poll on which character fans would like to see again, bringing in 23% of the vote. Said Arctic Jack regarded who they'd like to see return, Leon, because we haven't seen his whereabouts. While Ubi2111 wrote, "It'd be cool if Leon returned in either Fast 10 or 11 so that he can be reunited with Dom and his family." Bilkins and Tanner. Quick, besides Brian O'Connor, what other character from the Fast and Furious returned in Too Fast, Too Furious? Why, that would be Bilkins, Tom Barry, of course. FBI agent Bilkins was part of the case Brian was working in the original film and later recruited Brian and then Roman Pierce to help him take down Carter Verone in Too Fast, Too Furious. Even without Brian's direct involvement in the series these days, Dom and Roman's continued adventures, sometimes in conjunction with parts of the US government, certainly leave room for more familiar faces from the FBI to make an appearance. If they wanted to go even deeper, they could also bring back Tanner, Ted Levin, Bilkins' LAPD counterpart from that joint police FBI case in the first movie. After all, Tanner's the one who first said family in this series. He knew what it was really about right from the start. Suki. We meet several Miami racers at the start of Too Fast, Too Furious, including Orange Julius and Slapjack, who both help in the big final sequence of that film. But it's Suki, Devon Oiki, who's much more prominent throughout the story. After proving her racing prowess by coming in second only to Brian in Too Fast's opening race, Suki is shown to be a close friend, ally, and it seems even more to Tej Parker, and is someone Brian can count on whenever he needs help. It's safe to say that Suki's return would be most welcome, and with 23% of the vote in the poll, she had a last-minute NOS-powered surge to tie for first in the poll on which character you'd like to see come back to the series. Wrote Leprechaun 096, "I'd like to see Suki return since she proved herself as a competent driver, and I think she'd be a great add to the team." It's worth noting that Devon Aoki has seemed to have retired from acting in recent years, but who knows? Maybe she could be lured back for one last ride. Monica Fuentes. An integral part of Too Fast, Too Furious was U.S. Customs agent Monica Fuentes, Eva Mendes. Having gone undercover with Carter Verone's organization, she helped Brian and Roman in bringing Verone down. Fuentes especially stands out because she actually did make a surprise return already to the Fast series when we discovered she was now working alongside Luke Hobbs at the Diplomatic Security Service in some capacity. In Fast Five's post-credit scene, curiously though, Fuentes was then not used in any of the subsequent sequels, despite that tease hinting she would be. Fuentes was another character who got a lot of votes in our poll, coming in second place with 22% saying they'd like to see her return. Recently, Vin Diesel insinuated that Eva Mendes could be back soon after an EW interviewer told him they'd love to see her again, and he replied, "Well, just wait for 10. Let's just say the fact that you guys know that the studio is saying we can't cover all this ground that needs to be covered in just one movie, you can only imagine what's to come." Neela. As we've already mentioned, F9 features the return of several characters from the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. But Neela, Natalie Kelly, is not among them. Neela was not only the love interest of Sean Boswell in Tokyo Drift, but also had a history with that film's villain, Takashi. Now that we've seen Sean and his pals again, why not catch up with Neela? She was last seen announcing Sean and Dom's race, and it's certainly possible she's still part of the racing scene. And if not, there's any number of ways to bring her back, given the career paths in the Fast and the Furious series allow for just about anything. Who's to say Neela's not been running around having spy missions of her own at this point? Veg. Is Veg, Clara Paget, dead? Perhaps. But while we last saw her crashing her car, there was certainly no conclusive evidence it was a fatal impact. And again, we're dealing with a series where what would be considered fatal is very different from what you and I might consider fatal. In Fast and Furious 6, Veg is portrayed as one of Owen Shaw's most trusted team members and right-hand woman, and she determinedly participates in and helps orchestrate all sorts of mayhem. Amusingly identified as the counterpart to Brian, they're both the attractive blonde on the team you see. Veg was ultimately vanquished by Brian, who caused her crash. However, if Owen can survive what look to be far more dire circumstances, Veg can still be out there too. Would she ultimately ally herself with Dom and his crew in some manner, like the Shaw brothers have? Or remain a foe? Verone, Takashi, and Braga. Some of the villains from the later Fast films have popped back up again, such as Owen Shaw, Luke Evans, in The Fate of the Furious, albeit with a bit of redemption, helping his brother Deckard save Dom's son, and now Cypher, Charlize Theron in F9. But many of the early foes were one-and-done characters, with only the fourth film's villain, Braga, appearing again briefly in Fast and Furious 6. So what exactly has happened to guys like Too Fast, Too Furious, Carter Verone, Cole Hauser, Tokyo Drift's Takashi, Brian T., and the aforementioned Arturo Braga, John Ortiz, since we last saw them? Many fans are curious, and some would like them all to return together. Brag72 even includes the first film's villain, Johnny Tran, Rick Yoon, who's another "he sure seemed dead last we saw" character, writing, "I'd like to see all the old villains, Tran, Verone, Takashi, Braga, for example, come back and team up against the family in the final movie." That girl Minka Kelly played. The 2003 DVD for Too Fast, Too Furious featured a dialogue-free short, the amusingly titled The Turbocharged Prelude to Too Fast, Too Furious. The short charted Brian's journey as a fugitive after he let Dom go at the end of the first film, as he flees from Los Angeles and ultimately ends up in Miami. During his adventures, he encounters an unnamed girl at a diner who helped him escape when local police are onto his presence. He then sees she has a newspaper with an article about him and realizes she knew who he was all along. Sure, this appeared to be a random girl who thought Brian was hot and endangered her own safety helping him, but what if there was more to it and she helped him because she was assigned to help him? What if she worked for Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell, who wanted to get Brian to safety? What if she worked for Cypher, who had her own nefarious reasons to keep Brian away from the cops? Minka Kelly, who played this rather obscure, unnamed character in the Fast and Furious season, has gone on to have a successful career in projects like Friday Night Lights and Titans. But maybe it's time to bring her back and reveal the girl has been a crucial player in the Fast mythos this whole time.